As oncologists, we always try to avoid to make a prognosis because we are often wrong, so you cannot know how a disease will react, and therefore I think putting safeguards is very difficult.
The freedom of choice for euthanasia has become the obligation of choice of having euthanasia.
For instance, we had a case of a woman who had been treated for breast cancer, 72 years old, and she was admitted to the cardiac intensive care unit because of heart failure. And the doctor said, well, maybe euthanasia would be the best solution. She was asking for that, but we have admitted her to the palliative care unit, just palliative care, and she recovered, and now she is living for 4 years more.
On dit
The law says the patient must be suffering from a grave or incurable illness that results in physical or mental suffering.
physique ou psychique. Mais il était évident.
But it is evident that it would be questioned very quickly why someone who is suffering unbearably from a psychiatric illness should not also be able to access
On ne peut pas
euthanasia.
accéder à l'euthanasie. Et c'est ce que l'on voit aujourd'hui.
This is what we see today. We see that euthanasia applies in situations of psychiatric suffering that are not necessarily grave or incurable illnesses.
Pas nécessairement toujours.
So this is what has happened in Belgium. Over a lapse of time of 12 years, you start with a law for euthanasia in patients who are suffering, terminally ill situation, and 12 years later you have conferences in homes for elderly people presenting them euthanasia even if they are not suffering any disease and even if they did not think on it by themselves.
Au moment où la loi a été adoptée,
It was said in Belgium when the law was adopted in 2002 that of course euthanasia would be limited to adults.
d'âge. Et on voit que
And we see that some years after we are dealing with younger people.
logiquement, c'était à prévoir.
Logically, it was to be foreseen that one would question why an 18-year-old would be able to access euthanasia and not a 17-year-old.
Et pas un jeune de 17 ans.
Any child who is judged to be conscious and capable by a physician has the right to ask for euthanasia and get it with the authorization of his or her parents.
Parle aussi d'euthanasie néonatale.
Today there are also texts that speak to neonatal euthanasia, in other words, newborns who are handicapped.
Et il y a pas mal de...
And these requests continue to grow.
On finit pas dans les développements nouveaux.
For me, the only clear-cut safeguard is to say that a doctor cannot kill a patient. Once that you will admit that a doctor can kill his patient, even if it is in terminally conditions, it will be very difficult to put a red line and to say you cannot go beyond this, because what is a terminally ill situation? How can you judge if a patient will still live 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months? We help people to die, controlling their suffering and controlling their symptoms. We don't help them to die by killing them directly.